Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with another layout, and it's week 2 of my 52-week challenge that I'm doing on my Facebook group. Now, if you watched my last video, I said that one of my goals for 2019 was to upload twice a week. But I said sometimes I'm going to be uploading a little bit more. So this week, I think I'm going to be uploading 3 times because the challenge for this week is to scrap about something that you feel that is an accomplishment or something that you're proud of. Now, the goal for the 52-week challenge is to get 52 layouts done in the year. But if there's a challenge that speaks to you more than another one, then by all means do it more than once, because that just means more pages done at the end of the year. And actually, for this challenge, I could think of a few things that I could do layouts for. So we'll see how many I can, squeeze in the week, because I'm also, I was going to talk about that. I'm also, tomorrow, which is January 17th, I'm starting a brand new class. It's called Be Inspired, where we're going to have a video a day from the 17th to January 31st, and we're going to be talking about inspiration. There's going to be 15 layouts in those 2 weeks. So the link for that will be in the description box below. So what I was going to say, it depends on how much that keeps me busy, on how, because I could think of at least 4 things that I feel that was an accomplishment this year or that I'm proud of. So I'll try to fit in as many as I can, and maybe flow some into maybe next week, and still do the challenge for next week. But this first one, the first one I wanted to do was how many books that I read in 2018, because I didn't want that to linger on too long before I did the page for it. I want to do it while it's still fresh in my mind. So I went to Goodreads, and you can find sort of your stats for the year. So the top photo, it says my year in books 2018. This is my journey in books for 2018. And if you saw that little embellishment, it said sharing our stories. So perfect, to do with books. And again, this was a page kit that I put together back in November. Didn't know what I was going to do. This morning, when I knew I wanted to do this challenge, I went into my page kits, pulled them out, looked at that, and then one of the pattern papers, which I wasn't even planning on using, it was sort of the B-side, was that one right there, had the books on the back side. So I was like, perfect, this is what I'm going to use for what I read in 2018. I pulled in one thing from my stash, and it's these pockets that are from Simple Stories. I showed you the package at the beginning of the video. I bought a whole bunch of those quite a few years ago, and now every time I do, because I do this page every year, what I read in the previous year, I go grab one of those and I make a layout surrounding those. Now, I looked at a few at the beginning, but they were white base, and then I found these that are a little bit more like a creamier base, because my background paper does have a cream background. But you'll see what I'll do for my Project Life cards, because I'm going to use those Project Life cards to write down all the books that I read, and my stats and all that in those pockets. And they're white, so I'm going to fix them up. And also, that pattern paper that was from Pink Fresh Studio is also a white base. So I go into my inks, I find antique linen. I love that color, especially if you want to make some white embellishment look sort of distressy or more cream instead of white. And I'm going to do the edges, and I'm going to do the whole well, I can call it an embellishment even though it's a pattern paper, because I'm using it as an embellishment. Then I'm going to ink the edges of those pockets, and I'm also going to take the ink and put the ink inside all over the pocket, because I want it to match. And then I grabbed some 3x4 cards from Project Life, and I'm going to do the same thing to them. So then everything coordinates really well. I cut down that second pattern paper that is a chevron to 6 by 12. Then I added a piece of washi tape because I like to put sort of an end where the pattern paper finishes. And I sort of divided the pattern paper in two. So the top part is I'm going to put down all the books that I read, and then the bottom pocket I'm going to put the rest of my statistics. And let's talk a little bit about the statistics. So in 2018, I read a total of 121 books, and that amounted to 45,741 pages, which is amazing. Now, I don't think I'll be able to do that many books again this year. I set my Goodreads goal at 100, but if I can, I certainly will. But I think my situation this year is different than last year, so I probably won't have as much time. But let's talk about some more statistics. So then I went through, because I keep a log of how many pages each book is. So these are some of the statistics that I'm going to put on those cards. So books that were from 100 to 199, I only read 2. From 200 to 299, I read 20. From 300 to 399, there was 60. And 400 to 499, there was 19. And 500 to 599, there was 11. And 600 and plus, there was 9. So yes, there was 60 books that were between 300 and basically 400 pages, but then I had 30 books that were over 400. Now let's talk about some of other stuff that I accomplished. I managed to start 15 series. No, my goal was to start 15 series that year, and I actually started 23. My goal was to finish 10 series, and I actually finished 18, so I managed to do both those goals. My goal was to read 10 books that was over 500 pages, and I read 20 that were over 500 pages. My goal was to read 85 books, and I read 121. My goal was to read 12 to 2018 release, and I read 24. My goal was to read 12 books on my Kindle, and I read 26. And then my goal was to read 60 books from my TBR list, and that means 60 books that are already on my shelves, physical books. And I read 80 that were physical books. So that is a really good year. I accomplished every single one of my goals. Now, if you want to see how I actually keep track of that, because I keep track of this all year instead of at the end of the year trying to figure out, everything, I use a dot journal, and I keep updating it almost daily, or as soon as I'm done a specific, books, or whether I read a book on my Kindle, I color it in. And then at the end of the year, it's really easy to come up with these numbers. Now, another thing that Goodreads told me, it said that my shortest book that I read in 2018 was Uncharted, and that was actually a novella. And my longest book that I read that year or last year was Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix I believe. Yes. And that was 800 pages. And the average length of the books that I read were about 378. So if you take all the books that I read and you average out the pages, the average is about 378. So although it's fun to make those goal pages at the beginning of the year, it's just as rewarding to make sort of your accomplishment or your achievement pages at the beginning of the year for the previous year. Now, I don't know if I'll do one for my lifey goals. I'll see if I have time, because like I said, I have so many pages that I can think of that I want to do for accomplishments or proud of. So if you're not following me on my Facebook group, where I announce the challenge every Monday, And then it gives you like a whole week to, accomplish the challenge. And again, if you can do 2, then do 2. If you can do 5, do 5. I just find it's a great way to keep accountable to get some layouts done. And also the link for my classes will be in the description box below, and the class that we're doing this month, which will be running from January 17th to January 31st, is called Be Inspired. And I do have some pictures following this, so stay tuned for that. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. If you wouldn't mind, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.